Welcome back to Living Limitless. We are now on season 2 of diving deep with some amazing leaders. This season 2, is really about conquering your shame. And not like a conquering overpowering, but like a coming into the awareness of some of the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, addressing that. And these leaders that are coming into this series are here to support you, support me. And how do they come back to a conversation about joy and freedom, courage and playfulness? And I've really called forward individuals that I have worked with in the past that have supported me on my journey and reconnecting with my inner wisdom. And so we're here to do that and explore that with you. I'm Andrea Luzon. I'm a sacred freedom coach and legacy liberator. Basically, I'm an explorer who guides women on a journey back to reestablishing their authority in their life. We get to together in partnership, we reignite the passion, the power, the purpose that you feel bubbling up inside of you, and we just give that life together. So today we have with us Zoe Lumiere. Zoe, welcome and tell us about yourself.
Hi, Andrea, and hi, everyone. Always such a big open question. So I am a life coach. I call myself a healing coach because I do experience that being aware of the challenges in our world is the biggest and easiest pathway into creating and manifesting that we want. So there is an aspect of healing in terms of the work that I'm called to do in this world. So I'm a writer. I also have a group coaching program where I have just started to take on coaches within the Allowing Love methodology. I am the mother of the cutest husky on the planet. I am the wife of rock star Eric Lumiere. I am so called to support the planet in learning how to feel again, how to embrace and allow the energy of our emotion, the healing in our emotion, the gift of our emotion. And yeah, just excited to kind of be here and talk about shame, talk about the profound gifts in really going through with eyes wide open and heart wide open some of the challenges that we are all going through. There isn't someone that's not aware of some of these experiences. It's just so human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something that's been resonating with me a lot lately is wounds, the phrase wounds as
Yeah,
wisdom.
yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that's magnetized me to your work
Mhm.
in just
Mm.
how much space you allow someone to have, your
Mhm.
clients, your all the people who get to work with you, how you just I don't know, being around Zoe is like a big warm hug. No matter no matter what it is that's bubbling up. I think I'm gonna get
Mm.
emotional. Ah, but yeah, it's really been such a pleasure, such a joy
Mm.
working with you.
Mm. Oh, well, just so grateful for this connection, Andrea. And um, yeah, it truly is, those wounds in our life that are calling us
Mhm.
into the love that we are, right? When we love that's easy, when we love that's kind of already going well, that's we're not really learning and growing into who we are. But if we do have the courage to really take more time to be aware of where are those wounds, what in my life has fucking ripped me open and really still feels unresolved and unfair, how can we be present with that little part of us? And I do often refer to the little Zoe or the little Andrea, that the inner child, because
Mhm.
it's just such an easy way to really be present with those wounds. And as we learn how to love that part that fucking just needs to know it is loved, really energetically, metaphysically, in all different ways. Love those wounds. Oh yeah, just try and hold back that wisdom, then that creation, that those miracles that flow from that place of healing. It's what I love the most about this world, I think, really seeing that it is our adversity, our challenges, our wounds that are inviting us into the greatest love, the greatest relationship with ourselves. And it's been such a turning point, so many turning points in my life, of being sexually abused, of having my mum die at 14, then being left with my abuser. So many rich experiences that really have invited me into a profound experience of who I am as love. As one with everyone, as one with the spirit. And for me, that is a big part of it. But it really is just love. It doesn't matter what word we put on it. It's love.
I can feel that. Yeah. And I jotted down the word miracle because I had said wounds as wisdom, and I heard you say the miracle that it offers.
Yeah.
That we're offered. I think we're just going to cry the entire time. But the miracle that is offered when we're ready to look at that part. And when you said what ripped us open, that feels really poignant of, and even if it was something like, seeking approval from a parent who seemed to be a parent you experienced as disapproval,
100%.
Yeah, even something like that can feel like tears.
Yeah. And I think that it's really beautiful to point out, because some of us have had a seemingly more adverse journey, but it doesn't matter really what our journey looks like in this physical world, right? We all have those moments that have been given to us by the spirit to break us open, in not a fun way, but in a rich and rewarding way, to really learn how to love ourselves. And sometimes it can be even harder, right, to give ourselves permission to see that maybe it's a smaller thing, right? Like, oh, I didn't get this, or I wasn't loved in a particular way, I wasn't abused, right? But it's still as rich and deserving of being seen, being heard, and truly being loved.
Yeah. Have there been instances in your adult life where any shame stories that you were carrying became really obvious? Like, was it
Oh my
pivotal
God.
moments or just like tiny little moments, or was there ever anything big that occurred in your life that really forced you to face what you might have misbelieved about yourself?
Yeah, I would say both. I would say I love being a student of this work, a student of my process. So I do feel like consistently I'm aware of little, even I've started to stand taller in my business. It's expanding in beautiful ways. I'm aware of feeling like a failure, a fraud, often. If I'm really feeling my feelings, I'm aware that I'm continually releasing and clearing. But perhaps the big one that comes up to share in terms of a really big turning point was around going from being single my whole life to really being aware that I did still hold a lot of the misbeliefs and the lies, the trauma relating to being sexually abused when I was little, as my reality, that I was broken, that I was dirty, that I was wrong, that I was bad. And it's when something is in my conscious mind, it's so easy to see it's not my fault. There is nothing about that that's my fault or means anything about me. But this is the opportunity in this work to be aware of, if we're still challenged by it, we are relating to it in some way that truly isn't working for us. So having the guts to go through that and feel so abused, so unfair, so all of those things, in service to being aware of, oh wow, like I I'm holding myself in such a pattern of shame and rejection from men moving forward, because I am continuing to buy into I'm wrong, I'm dirty, I'm tainted, I'm less. And for me, the biggest turning point on that was really being able to see, and it's kind of still humbling to see that that I actually, beyond forgiving my abuser, I also need to forgive myself
Mm.
for buying into that bullshit. For
Mhm.
I need to forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that I'm anything other than a pure, perfect, sweet, worthy of love, worthy of touch,
Mhm.
worthy of all those things.
Mhm.
And so yeah, starting to unpack the sexual abuse like 20 years later,
Mhm.
um, it was talk about miracles when I finally did start to address that shame that I felt in my body, in my mind, in very real ways. When I started to see her, love her, really forgive my abuser, but also forgive myself for continuing to buy into those lies about who I was. Yeah, to have my husband then show up in like less than a year,
Mm.
after never having going on more than a second date until I was 33. That was that was that was wild. That was
Wow.
truly wild.
So you really called him in by moving through the process of self-forgiveness.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm grateful that I really let myself kind of geek out on it. Like once I started to be aware of, oh wow, right there is a little Zoe that's just so confused, so in deep lies about who she is. I then and it was wild, that process. I was actually really challenged by a colleague who was a very similar personality to my sexual abuser, to my stepdad. And so it's wild how the universe will bring patterns, relationships back up in our life. And for whatever reason, I just wanted the approval, the recognition of this one particular colleague. And so whenever he would be a little crap to me, it would bring that up. I feel sad, like I feel unworthy, broken. And so I got to use the real situations going on everywhere in my life. So whenever that would just come up, bubble up in my life, I could either push her back down, or I could go, oh, wow, there is something that's much deeper that's going on under here. And
Mhm.
that's why I love supporting clients in really taking advantage of those moments when it feels irrational, right? Maybe someone texts us and stands us up for coffee, but all of a sudden it feels like we're betrayed and abandoned. Or, our husband says something truly not that not that big, right? But all of a sudden we feel like something really deep is going on. Those irrational moments are such gifts, because they are providing a gateway back into those childhood wounds, and maybe even further beyond, but they're such a gift.
Yeah. I can relate to so much of what you just said. I know for me, buying a house on my own, like shifting from
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
globetrotter
Yep.
to a homeowner, that brought up a lot of worthiness story. And then just a few months after that, I met the man I would marry, and he definitely ran with a different pack, if you
Got
will.
it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was kind of more the free bird sort of
Mm-hmm.
pack, like
Mm-hmm.
find your joy, ecstatic dance, things like that. And,
Yep.
you know, doesn't want to dance, very cerebral. And so I went right back to that story of feeling rejected without being rejected, feeling
Yep.
rejected, and morphing, desiring to
Yep.
morph and twist
Yep.
and turn and
Yep.
convolute myself until I felt like I was fitting in better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
then there were like 7 years of just hiding, and then just a few years ago, it's been rediscovery as well, like back
Mm,
into the work that I was doing and how I was being, and
yep.
journaling and art,
Yep.
and more of that listening to the
Amazing.
intuition that I was doing that called him in, because I was doing the self work at that time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so much deep process. I think I was in a church group and we did Keys to the Kingdom.
Beautiful.
by David. Oh gosh, now I can't remember his name. David something.
Mm,
But it was quite a lengthy, many months, lots of journal prompts, lots
mm,
of reading, lots of deep dive writing.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I've actually thought about how cool would it be to have a group that explores that
Mm.
again.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's just something I'm just going to say that out
Yeah.
loud since
Put
it's
it into the light.
yes, let's put that into the light. That's been on my mind. But yeah, so moving through a couple of classes at that time, maybe for a year, and
Mm,
then lo and behold, I end up meeting my husband, my
mm.
soon-to-be husband. Yeah, through that deep work. So
I
I'm really
love
glad
it.
you said that out loud. That
Mm, mm.
as you were doing that reflection process, you called in like the next
Yeah,
level
yeah,
of your life,
yeah.
and you're still
Truly.
together.
Yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
grateful. He's a singer-songwriter. But together, we now do this healing work together. Well, I do believe any good relationship involves sharing our challenges and being able to support each other. And it doesn't mean that we don't also need other help,
Mhm.
but really being able to let our partner in on the pain inside, and not to be fixed, but just to use that vulnerability, that that opportunity to really get to know each other in a much more real way, for me is just so pivotal for a really deep, rich, beautiful relationship. And so only through that, and he was very open to it, and he really got into this whole healing methodology. And so now we facilitate our group work together. And he has actually gone and done his own study in spiritual psychology. And so it's kind of wild to see that I got together with this amazing singer-songwriter, this rock star, and he's still a rock star. He still writes and performs and records, but we now also run uh, part of my coaching pro practice together, which is just so incredible to show up in this work together. It just is for me so much funner that
That
way.
is a huge gift. That is a
Yeah,
huge gift.
yeah.
After I studied spiritual psychology at the
Mhm, mhm.
University of Santa Monica, interestingly, the same year as your husband. Right after that, I did some transformational leadership work,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
yeah, it's amazing. And in 4 months, they pack in a, whew, it is like it's like University of Santa Monica on
Mm,
like really interjected with a ton of energy. And
mhm.
so a year went by, and then my husband took followed in my footsteps and explored the
Ah,
same transformational work. And then he graduated the same day I graduated 1 year later.
oh,
So
how
cool.
stunning.
Yeah, and so to
Yeah,
have that same language, I mean,
yeah,
even in the example of being open to talking about stories that we have from our
yep,
past that we're still
yep,
carrying, but it's been
yep,
a whole new level to be
yep.
able to speak some of this
Yes,
transformational language
yes,
together.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
100%. And the thing that is coming present to share, just in service to anyone that is in relationship and wondering, how can I share a little bit more with my partner in service to being closer? I do share two magic words that I encourage my clients to share with their spouse. And that is, that sucks.
That sucks.
That sucks. And so if it is all of our kind of nature in some ways to want to fix and to make things better. But if I'm sharing about something that's come up, what I will share, what I initially shared with my now husband, and what I definitely share with clients, asking spouses or partners or friends to hold for
Mhm.
them, just is to listen, to love, but you can say that sucks,
Mhm.
but that's it, right? So it's just that really we just want to be heard, we just want to be seen, we just want to be loved, right? And there really is nothing to say. And definitely going, well, you should do this, or you could do this, or you knew that wasn't your fault. Oh, but you are pretty. Oh, but no, you are going to be okay. Really, that's actually not what we need to hear in that moment, but just to be heard, just to be with someone, just to be seen, and just to really feel like, oh wow, even in our mess, even in our seemingly brokenness, wow, they're still here. They're still loving us. But if they do want 2 magic words to say out loud, oh, that sucks. And it might go with, oh, I'm really sorry you're going through that. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I hear you. That sucks. I still have to remind my husband, oh no, honey, it's just that sucks. That's all. Right? Don't fix me. Don't tell me something to do.
Mhm.
But you can say that sucks, and he will, just as a he will go, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, honey. That sucks. And it's so wild how magically it's like hearing it. That's, oh yeah, it does. Okay, I can let it go. I can move on. I got the love. I got heard. I got seen. Great. I
Mhm.
can move on and see that actually in spiritual reality, it doesn't suck. It's actually a beautiful gift, but it enables our humanity to let go of it. It's like, I got seen, I got heard. Great. Moving on.
I appreciate you sharing that. My mom affectionately refers to that tendency to fix as the white knight syndrome,
Oh, I love
like
it.
the knight riding in on the white horse,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then like fixing everything. And
Yep.
it's a tendency that pretty much everyone in my family has, self included. And
Mm-hmm.
and so it has been great to realize that it's like or you could ask permission, honey, would you love me to
Mm-hmm.
listen?
Yep.
Or would you
I love
love
that.
some solution? Do you want to partner? Would you like some support in solution finding, or
Yeah.
do you just want me to hear you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, and it's yes, I think most of the time people they just want to hear that sucks, and they want a hug
Yeah.
or an
Just
I
want to
love
know
you.
that they're loved. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, work to be done.
It's a rich life.
Yes,
So
so many
it's a
opportunities to
wild,
grow.
wonderful life. Yeah.
Yes. So I've talked to this one leader in the past, Susan
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins, and
Mm-hmm.
she has said to me in the past that
Mm-hmm.
our wounding is it can be rootstock, and
Mm-hmm.
that we have an opportunity to reach down inside of us and pull up the rootstock
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
dismantle it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering how the phrasing of all of that lands with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I love it. So for me, at the heart of every wound, in how I relate to the healing of our wounds, is that there are key judgments, key misbeliefs, key lies that we do anchor to protect ourselves at that time, but does in many ways become a root, becomes a misbelief, a judgment that actually holds us from freedom, from love, from our true inner nature. And the way that I relate to the release of those roots, those wounds, those lies, those judgments is through forgiveness, in actually forgiving ourselves for creating that protection, that coping mechanism, but really allowing ourselves to see it, to be grateful for it, to honor it, acknowledge it, but to realize that in our own life right now, we don't need it anymore. And we truly, in the forgiving of it, we can let it go. We can heal it, completely resolve it. And there are so many different ways in and through that. But I do love the way that the professors, Dr. Ziron and Mary Halnick of the University of Santa Monica, say it, that healing, including the release of any of these wounds, that healing is the application of love to the places that hurt. And so sometimes that application of love can look like forgiveness, compassion, picking up that little Zoe, loving her, holding her. It can be affected in many different ways. But in my experience, it does all come down to this beautiful, clear bottom line of applying love
Mhm.
to those places that hurt, so that in essence it can get the love that it needed, but it didn't get at the time. And that's why it created a protection, a coping mechanism, because it started to buy into, oh wow, I'm not lovable as I am. I need to protect myself. I need to protect this part.
That's landing. Yeah. I'm remembering that you actually might have a process that you could take us through.
Yeah,
If someone is feeling stuck in shame
yeah,
or
yeah.
in a pattern, is there a guidance that you offer that you could offer?
Yeah. Let's have a look at this. And so you may want to just hear this for information, but if as you're playing with Andrea and I right now, if you kind of want to dive in and get your own experience of this, I'm going to try and share about it in a way that you may be able to dive into this. And so I do encourage us all just to be aware of a moment over the last few months in our life where we have been triggered, where we either felt ashamed, embarrassed, or in some way just really out of balance, right? Our peace, our sense of self was disturbed. And so I encourage all of us just to be present with what that moment was and give yourself permission to play the story a little bit. I think we probably all know that there's not a whole lot of value or healing in attachment to the story, but just be aware of what was going on at that time and kind of let yourself feel that. And if you need to play that story out a little bit right now, go into the bitching, the blaming, the illusion. Let yourself do that. But as soon as you've been able to kind of feel what that brought up inside of you, maybe that shame just hits you in the stomach, just hits you in the stomach, or maybe you're aware of a deep hurt, a deep ache in your heart. Maybe all of a sudden there's a bunch of weight or darkness on your shoulders. But just in that moment that you're aware of, truly what is it that you feel in the body? And it can be a little hard sometimes to let go of, but he did this, or this is going on. Do your best in this moment to be aware of what is going on outside of yourself, but be aware that there is also something that is calling to you in your body. How do you feel? Where do you feel that shame? Where do you feel that hurt? And really give yourself permission to see that it may have a color, it may have a texture, it may have motion, movement, but just really be aware of that. And you could kind of name it like, oh, it's like this deep, dark, black hole, and it's pulling everything into me. It's just this deep, dark, black hole. And while we won't have time to really go into the full version of this, I am encouraging you to give it a little bit of a voice right now. This can most effectively be done in writing, but once you anchor a clear intention of the highest good, I encourage all of us to give that a little bit of a voice, give that shame, that hurt a voice in service to it being seen and heard and loved. And so you can spend a little bit of time now, just a very small moment, just speaking from that hurt, that shame, that place inside. Just let it share, let it be present. Write it down, speak it out loud. And once it has shared a little, and this is obviously the abbreviated version, but now I encourage us all to use an open palm that is going to represent our loving, the pure loving of our beingness, our ability to hold, our ability to reach out, our ability to love. And I just encourage us all to take that warmth, that beautiful open palm, and to place it on the part of us that feels hurt, that is ashamed, that feels this. And I'm just going to encourage you to let that love, let that presence from your open palm flood that feeling, flood that place inside. And on it, you can let this shame, let this part of you know that you're with it, that you see it, that you love it, that you accept it. No changing, no fixing required. Just, I see you, I hear you, I love you. And a really powerful next step is to simply ask, and what do you need? What is it that you need? If you could have anything that you wanted in the world, what do you need? So now ask that stomach, that experience in your chest, wherever you're feeling it, ask that part of you through your open palm, what do you need? And just wait for the answer. You can write it down if you like. But what do you need? And no matter what it is that you get back, give yourself permission to now give this to yourself. You know, if it's like, I just need to know that everything's going to be okay, please do yourself a favor and tell yourself everything's going to be okay. Pick yourself up and tell yourself that. And sometimes what comes back from these parts is needing to have something in the outside world. And so what a tweak that is necessary here is that if something comes up like, I need him to know that he did something wrong, I need this to be different in the outside world in order to be okay. So I encourage you to be present with that, but then ask, and so how is it that you will feel? What will you get inside of you if that takes place? So then maybe you do see, oh, okay, in the physical world that happens. How will you finally allow yourself to feel inside if that does take place? And be aware that that's what you need. That experience, that feeling, that inner experience is what you need. And so just to complete this beautiful, simple little process, just continue to pick up this part of you, this feeling in your stomach or wherever you feel it, and just give it what it needs. Give it that love. And you can share any words of loving, any words of wisdom, any sweetness with this part in service to giving what it needs and to giving what it showed up for. This is why it showed up in your life. It's not against you. It's not a problem. It's here to show you how to give you more of the love you need. And it is here to show you how to give you more of what you need. Could be affirmation. It could be strength. It could be courage. But really just give this part of you whatever it needs. And in service to completing in this brief way, we do just thank ourselves. We thank this part for showing up. And we do ask the light to complete this process for the highest good. And so I do just ask that we all feel ourselves filled with love, with light, because there may have been quite a lot that comes up in that process for you. So just receive any love and light. And the best encouragement I can give anyone moving forward in this kind of a process is to learn how to dialogue between the places that hurt and that loving part. So a process that we just started to go into is very simple and easy to do, but to learn how to dialogue between, oh, I feel hurt, I feel sad, to really learn to give that a voice, but then to bring in our love. And we can use our heart, we can use our soul, we can use someone we love. Maybe our grandmother that's passed over is the pure epitome of loving to us, or maybe we have a spiritual teacher, a guide that we work with. Can we then start to let that part know what we just heard, but can we start to dialogue between ourselves? For me, definitely in my own experience, but in working with clients, learning how to bridge between the wounded places into our love, back into our wound, into our love, it starts to energetically create a bridge of love, such that healing becomes more than the application of love to the places that hurt, but we do start to become this one whole integrated being, because there is no separation. There is just this beautiful love, communication, connection that's going on between us. And that love energetically does heal and release anything that has been stuck, any blocks, any roots, anything that's holding us back from really allowing that love that we are to be made manifest in our lives on all levels.
That landed with me on so many levels. I ended up being requested to share trust, and oh gosh, what's that? Oh, you are different, and it's great.
Mm.
It's like you walk to the beat of your own drum, and it's great.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
what was really landing. Oh my
I love
gosh.
that. I love that. Well, and I
Yeah.
love that in this process, we do often receive really, really profound keys of love, keys of wisdom, right? We
Yeah.
do have certain vibrations, certain things that if we hear them, they unlock something for us.
Yeah.
And so in this process, I love that we often hear like, yeah, that perfect little affirmation or
Yeah.
that perfect little pep talk that then really becomes a gift for us. Like,
Mm.
who knows what that is for each of us uniquely, but really receiving that for ourselves, our own truth, our own authority for our own healing, really becomes so powerful.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And interestingly, a question I have loved to ask is
Great.
how do you tap into your inner wisdom and messages from the universe?
Yeah,
Sometimes I find that a lot of, for myself personally, in the
please.
past, I had definitely broken trust with
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like intuition shouldn't be trusted. Like everything has to
Uh,
be logical and just like everybody
mm-hmm.
else,
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yep.
so that like coming back to tuning in.
Yep. Yeah.
Are there
So
other like
important.
this is such a beautiful process. Are there things that
Yeah.
work for you in your life?
Yeah. Yes. So I actually the basic heart of my Allowing Love program is actually a 5-step manifestation meditation that I do every day, and that I've now had thousands of people do now over the last 6 years. And it was actually just a simple process that I downloaded in one of my most challenging moments. And it's just a really simple way to, well, it is a little, it's simple, but it is a little involved to go through all 5 steps. But in some way, it's simply just asking for the highest good for this day, and then awakening to one thing that the Spirit's really calling us into. Because for me, when I started my spiritual journey, I actually started to let go of wanting things, having dreams, because dreams and goal setting was the problem that had created my biggest heartaches, right? I wanted to be, I wanted to get all this love and recognition from this world in creating and doing and being productive and impressive. So I let go of all dreams, all wants. I let go of it all, because I thought that's what being spiritual was. But over time, it actually began to be great suffering for me, because I actually did want stuff. I actually did want a boyfriend. I actually did want a husband. I actually did want more money. I actually did want greater experiences in my life. And so it was at this point that I'm like, okay, these things can't be mutually exclusive. The spirit trusting that everything is just as it is. But hey, the spirit's calling me into more. So every morning I just do this beautiful process. I do my meditation first, and I have a beautiful practice of meditation that I learned through MSIA. So I actually chant the Anai Hu and a lot of beautiful Eastern traditions. I do chant that tone, which is a Sanskrit word of God. I do chant that for a good half hour. But then I do my beautiful manifestation practice where I ask for the highest good, my highest life, and I allow myself to awaken to one thing. Sometimes it's like, I just want to enjoy today. That's the one thing I want. Or often it is a project or something that the spirit is asking me to share with the world. But then I give myself permission to feel it, to experience it, to fully feel it real. I let it in my body, and I let that experience of what I want, whether or not that's, and this is how I came to do this. I started to do that with my husband. So every night and every morning, I would spend time with my husband's arm around me. My husband didn't exist at that point. It was just this idea of having a husband, but I would feel him. I would start to get to know exactly what is that frequency? Can I start to feel that, receive that, really have that now? And I began to be aware of what that frequency was in my body. And so rather than just relying on I need my husband, more than anything, I needed to feel that frequency. So for each different thing I'm manifesting in my life, it usually comes in with a different frequency. And when I was calling in my husband, it's I'm loved just as I am, right? And I began to be aware of, wow, I'm not loving myself as I am. I'm not loving my little nose. I'm not loving my big ass. I'm not loving all the things that I'm judging. How can I really let go of the judgments? How can I live this frequency? And then there are a few other steps. But actually, that is a free. I mean, it is also the free gift that I am offering to everyone as part of this program. But it's and it comes through with a 7 audio meditations that help you learn these simple 5 steps that only take 10 minutes once you're kind of in the hang of it. But it's simply a beautiful conversation with the spirit, a conversation with our heart, then going through receiving a next step, doing a little bit of self-forgiveness, and then finishing with gratitude, the key to all manifestation. But that is what I do every morning, and I'm so grateful to be sharing it with people, because it really just helps me show up and get it for myself, right? Once we start sharing all of these lovely little things with this world, we're then really called, like, are you going to walk your talk? And so I'm just grateful to continue to be called into that particular process, and from that beautiful 5 little step process actually grew my entire coaching program.
Wow. That sounds like an amazing gift that you're sharing with the audience. Is it called the
Yep.
manifestation process? What do you
It is
call
called the 5 steps of allowing love,
it?
the 5 keys for spiritual manifestation. I refer to it in different ways, but yes, the allowing love 5 steps. And you can actually go, I'm sure you will support everyone in the links, of course, but you can just go to allowing.love and engage with them completely.
Okay. Allowing.love.com? Allowing.
No, actually allowing.love. Love is actually I don't know what you call it, a domain, not a domain, that instead of .com it is, so just allowing.love is the whole thing.
That
Yeah.
is so fun. Of course it is. Of course it's the end. Of course it can
Yes,
come after the
right.
dot in a website, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, I talked to a friend who there's now like the cyber, oh my gosh, Bitcoin kind of a thing. There's
Yes,
like a
yes,
love Bitcoin. There's a whole other genre. There's a whole other piece of it, because you know how it can come in different the digital
yes.
currencies can come in
Truly,
different
truly. Yeah.
domains. And so yeah,
Yes,
there's one
yes,
that is
yes.
love. And of course
Oh,
it's
I love that.
people that you and I both know, actually.
Yes,
Who I think
yes,
like created it, or they support it at
yes.
least. So,
Yeah, actually, my husband happens to be one of those people.
okay. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. So many. That's so cool though. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
love
I
can
don't understand the Bitcoin, but I'm so glad he does. And I do love, I think it's a wonderful
yeah.
thing.
Right. Your family is physically real world investing in love.
Right?
Spiritual, mental, physical,
Yeah. So
monetarily.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for telling us where we can find your gift. I will also make
Great.
sure that the audience, you audience member, you will either get a list of all of the gifts that are coming through. So keep an eye on your email inbox. So make
Great.
sure that support@andrealuzon.com is on
Mhm.
your whitelist, your accepted email list. And then also in the Awake Free community on Facebook, we will be there. We'll be sharing workshops and other ways to tap back into that inner wisdom and up
Mm.
level your life. So Zoe
So,
Lumiere, from my heart, thank you so much for being here. Such a gift.
Andrea, just any moment with you, honey, is one that I get to let go and be me. So thank you for that invitation, and just thank you for this opportunity to connect with all of you. Just so grateful to be doing this work together. Right? It's so much more enjoyable and so much more effective when we do it together.
Mhm.
So thank
Right.
you for this opportunity, and
Yes.
light ahead.
Yes. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Thank
You're so
you to the
welcome.
And thank you to the audience. I'm Andrea Luzon. This has been Living Limitless, and I can't wait for you to see the next episode. Until then.